Hello everyone. This training video will help you to solve one of the most important queries that come on the field when it comes to processing of cord blood using our technology versus automated technologies of the competitors. I hope with perfect amalgamation of data, examples, positive body language and confidence, you will be able to solve these queries and convince the customers that LifeCell's personalized and proprietary cord blood processing technology is the best choice for them. Let's get started.
Okay, Vinesh, actually, thanks for coming once again, right? I know it's a lot of trouble, but after I had the presentation with you, I should be frank in telling you that I've also met with representatives from other companies that are offering stem cell banking, right? So I met with CordLife and also CryoViva. Now, based on the three meetings that I've had, there have been some doubts that have come up. I've also been doing some research on my own. So I thought I should have this cleared with you before I make any decision with respect to which stem cell bank I'm signing up for. So the most critical doubt I have in mind at this point is that the other two companies that I've met with are telling me that they use an automated technology to process the stem cells that come to the lab, whereas LifeCell still continues to use a manual technology to process stem cells. I'm wondering why. I am convinced with your infrastructure and the fact that so many parents have, chosen LifeCell. But why wouldn't such a leading company actually upgrade to an automated technology? Don't you feel that do I mean machines do a far more precise job than people?
Sure. Thank you so much, first of all, for giving us this opportunity to come and discuss about this. Whatever you spoke for the last few minutes clearly shows that stem cells banking is really something that you're looking into very seriously and you would like to give the best technology to your child. And I really appreciate that fact. Uh, yes. So let us now have a quick discussion on understanding why LifeCell's cardboard processing technology is far, far superior compared to the other options that are available in the market. Now, at LifeCell, we process the cord blood sample through our own proprietary technology, which is personalized or customized to the sample volume that we collect. And the processing takes place by depleting the RBCs to the bare minimum while also reducing the plasma. In simple terms, you get a raw cord blood sample in the laboratory and you ensure that all the unwanted materials are removed and the most precious stem cells are harvested and kept in a safe environment. Now, in doing this, the most important objective is to remove maximum red blood cells. Now, when you choose a technology, the leftover red blood cells after a sample getting processed at LifeCell is less than 5 to 7% compared to 30 to 40% when a sample is processed in a machine like CPAX or CPAX 2. Now, how does it benefit as a parent to you is three important points. One, having less red blood cells in a sample ensures that or minimizes any kind of ABO incompatibility between the donor and recipient at the time of transplant. Second, it avoids any kind of renal overload or any kind of complications related to the kidney. And third important point is if your sample has a higher volume of red blood cells, now just before the transplant, the doctor will have to perform a washing step to remove these excess red blood cells. And what this means is it could also lead to a loss of these precious stem cells. Now, since our sample already the final product has such less amount of red blood cells, all these complications and challenges can be fairly avoided. So the first important point that we discussed is that we remove, or rather our final product has just around 5% of red blood cells compared to 30 to 40% of red blood cells which are present when you when the sample is processed using CPAX or CPAX 2.
Okay, but that still leaves me with a question that, using an automated machine-led process is far more precise than using human hands.
Yes. So just
Nice,
taking the
okay.
conversation ahead, not only does our technology ensure to remove maximum red blood cells, but our technology also enables us to remove or to harvest the highest stem cell recoveries that is available. Using a technology, we are able to harvest almost 80 to 85% of the total nucleated cells, which is absolutely comparable to any automated technology. So the biggest benefit at the outset that you get is while your sample gets reduced number of red blood cells, while you also get the highest amount of stem cell recoveries. So it's the best of both the worlds that you get in one single technology. Coming to your important question on machines are better than human hands is what you're thinking, right? Absolutely. Even if I was there in your place at the outset, I would have thought the same. You would agree that machines work best when your inputs are constant so that they can give consistent outputs. Am I right?
Correct, correct.
But when it comes to a complex processing scenarios or challenges are a little different. See, every sample that we get in a laboratory ranges from 40 ml to 150 ml. Some may have clots, some may have not have clots. So there are a lot of difference amongst the samples that we get. What this means is that you need a customized approach to this. Let me cite a very simple example to you. When you go to your physician to get your blood pressure monitored, you would have seen a sphygmomanometer. Basically, there's a pump and there is a mercury barometer that he uses. It's a machine, but operated by the doctor. And the entire art is based on his skill sets to diagnose the systole and the diastole. Everyone has to have a normal blood pressure of 120 by 80. Am I right?
Correct.
But then all of the humans differ in terms of their age, their weight, other complications, whether it's a male, female, etc. Similarly, cord blood samples are also different. A machine cannot be calibrated for every sample, but this is possible when you have a human expertise involved. So, though outside in the market people keep talking about it being manual or using hands, we use machines, but it's just that we have technical expertise who play an important role to give nothing but the best out of us.
Okay.
Okay. Now, also, what is important is that when human hands are involved, a lot of people perceive that there could be inconsistencies or chances of contamination, etc. Well, that is also absolutely taken care with our process, because your baby sample will be processed in a completely closed environment in a clean room facility using a triple closed pack system. Now, what this ensures is this eliminates any chances of external contamination entering into the sample. So, this is how the entire processing takes place, where you get the advantages of removing the maximum red blood cells, highest stem cell recoveries, customization, and also in a completely safe and contamination free environment.
Okay.
Now, to just validate or just to show you that how this actually works, if you are comfortable, I would like to show you a small video of a laboratory, because I believe seeing is believing. If you just have a look at this video,
Sure,
you
why
would
not?
be able to see how the actual laboratory is and how good care we take at the laboratory for the sample processing.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Now consider that the video is flowing. Video ends, and now after 3 seconds, I will start talking. Okay.
Shouldn't I be talking?
No, that's it. So, ma'am, you just saw in this video, the technicians have used the blue gowns. Okay, so you could clearly see that there is so much of care that we take at the laboratory. Now, you would agree that manual and contamination, all these were misleading things.
Okay. Uh, but I'm still not done with my doubts,
Sure,
right?
ma'am, please.
So, what they've also told me is that in your manual processing, you use a certain chemical, if I may recall, I think it's called HESPAN, right? Which I've heard is sort of harmful to the cell, stem cells, maybe. And what they've also told me is that HESPAN is sort of banned and all that.
Okay,
Why do you still use that?
I understand your concern. So HESPAN is basically a starch solution which is added so that the gradient that we get basis the density is much more better. In short, it helps to have higher stem cell recoveries, which is not possible if you don't add HESPAN. HESPAN is a completely safe chemical which has been used for over 2 decades now globally. Okay. Yes, the US FDA had issued a boxed warning on limited usage or of HESPAN, but that was for a particular indication only and not a blanket warning or a ban across the board. The warning was related when HESPAN is introduced directly into the patient for as a volume expander, where the quantity of HESPAN that was used was over 100 ml. That led to a lot of renal complications. But when it comes to cord blood processing, it is absolutely a different story. In fact, the final product that we store would have less than 1 or 2 ml of HESPAN in it. So
Okay.
HESPAN is an absolutely safe chemical. Also, to just validate this fact, I would like you to just go through this document, which
Okay.
clearly answers your queries. The third party document from Parents Guide to Cord Blood Foundation website.
Okay.
And you'll be surprised that even machines like CPACs,
Mhm.
if they have to give you decent amount of cellular recoveries, they have to use HESPAN.
Okay.
So the machine itself gives you a provision of using HESPAN.
Okay. Quite contradicting,
Yes.
but
If you could just give me this document, I'll just show it to you. Now this is basically the brochure of CPACs. When you purchase the machine, the manufacturer gives you this machine, this brochure. You will see in this table, man, that first of all it said HES.
Mhm.
Okay, so HES is nothing but HESPAN. So this clearly proves that even CPACs has a provision of using HESPAN. And secondly, at the initial beginning, we were speaking about the cellular recoveries. This table also shows that around 80% is what the cellular recoveries are when you use CPACs as a machine.
Okay, but I've been told that CPAX offers about 99% of stem cell recovery. I mean,
Yes, I'll tell
uh,
you. So you've seen
looks
with
like a
your own
tall
eyes.
claim, but I just
Yes,
wanted to verify
sure,
that with you.
sure. So you just saw what the manufacturer is saying. So the facts are in front of you. 80% is what the recoveries are possible. These are called median or average recoveries.
Okay.
Now, 99% what these companies claim is absolutely misleading. And I say so because this is one of the best samples. Let's say you have 10,000 samples and one or two samples you get 99% recovery. That's absolutely misleading to the customers. Okay. For example, you have a coaching class in which only one student got 99% marks, but the remaining others, everyone failed or did not really pass. It doesn't make sense. Even at LifeCell, for lakhs of samples that we've processed, I'm sure I can give you hundreds and thousands of examples where the best of the samples we were able to remove 99.9% cellular recoveries also. But that's wrong. What I need to guide you or provide data is about the median recoveries or the average recoveries at our laboratory. And that is what we have spoken about. 80 to 85% is what we have at our laboratory compared to 75-80% what you get in a CPAX machine.
Okay.
Now, two important points that I wanted to draw your attention, because ultimately we are having this discussion to bring that trust and confidence in you that LifeCell's technology is really worth trusting. Apart from the red blood cell reduction, the highest stem cells recoveries, the customization that we spoke about, there are two important points. If I may ask you, finally, whatever is the technology that is used, what is your expectation out of the processing technology, man?
The fact that the sample is of good quality and it has maximum number of stem cells.
Correct. So, if I've understood you correctly, what you're trying to say is that ultimately a good quality sample that, in case, God forbid, the need arises, it helps the patient to get recovered.
Correct.
Now, that can only be proven through experience and, if at all the samples have been retrieved. If at all some patient has actually used these samples. because otherwise all this is theory. We may talk about all these, but if someone has never used it, it remains just a theory. When you choose LifeCell, you get the confidence that the company has already retrieved 50 cord blood samples for different medical conditions where the samples have been used. Now, a couple of highlights here is that 22 of these transplants have been performed by Dr. Revati Raj, who's one of the leading transplant physician in our country. And these have happened in one of the best hospitals in Chennai, the Apollo Specialty Hospital. Now, you would agree to the fact that if a hospital and such a big doctor is trusting our samples not once, not twice, not 10 times, but 22 times in the last 14 years, I'm sure our product has really credibility to it. Second important point is LifeCell is the only laboratory in India whose cord blood samples have been accepted 10 times in the US in a US FDA approved clinical trial. These two things talks volumes on the kind of experience and the kind of outputs that we give, which is acceptable not only by the best doctors in India but also international doctors. Just to give you or guide you, CordLife that you were talking about, in the last 9 or 10 years of their operations, you'll be surprised that they've done only one transplant.
Is it?
Yes. The same is available on their website also. And that too in 2011.
Okay.
When these guys were also using a manual technology. It's just that after 2013, they've been starting using CPAX too. And since then, till date, there has been no retrieval. So long claims without any substantiating facts to it.
I see. Okay.
And one last important point which will really help you to take a better decision. Everything said and done, every biological sample comes with its own challenges, and I'm sure you would agree to it. In an unfortunate scenario that assume that the volume of cord blood is not sufficient to undergo a cord blood processing. See, that is in no one's hand. You will only discover it once the collection is done. Or let's say the sample volume, because it is unfit for processing, or after processing, every sample has to undergo particular checkpoints. Only then it is deemed fit for storage. In any of these scenario, if I may ask you that if the sample is unfit for processing or further storage, what do you think a private bank like CordLife would help you?
Well, they are telling me that they'll be able to source another matching unit from anywhere in the world. So,
I'm sorry to say, but this is how they take undue advantage of the innocence of the parents. Now, they've forgotten to tell you that the sample is first of all not even fit for storage. Now, what happens in this scenario is they will only terminate the contract and refund you the money. But the entire you spend so much of time, money, energy, and there's so much of hopes with stem cells banking so that the baby gets protected. But in such scenarios, in a private bank, they cannot offer you anything but the refund. But if the same scenario comes at LifeCell under community banking program, you get an added coverage that if you continue the contract, the baby and the entire family continues to enjoy all the benefits that I discussed during my presentation of community banking. So even though your sample is unfit, you continue to get the benefits of community banking, which means that the family's hopes with stem cells continues as it is.
okay. I'm sorry I'm harping around the same question for a long time, but like I told you, I've also been doing some parallel reading on the internet, and I only seem to be coming across a lot of papers that speak in support of CPAX as a technology for cord blood processing, while I don't find so much reading material that backs manual, which was actually the foundation of all these doubts, right?
I understand. Well, you're absolutely right. When you go on Google and just type manual CPAX and try to find some scientific papers, you will see that most of the papers that you've read on the internet are all published by public cord blood banks. Now, public cord blood banks mostly use CPAX because it definitely prevents them or cost of labor. Okay. CPAX processing public banks operate in a completely different environment. For example, their acceptance volume to process a sample is itself 100 ml. while that's not the case in a private bank. We process samples even if it is around 40 ml or 15 ml in quantity. Now, what is important to know is that whenever you have a machine that is installed in your laboratory, you do your in-house validations to substantiate. See, it will be really incorrect if I say that if CPAX is giving me these results in the US or an Australian bank, it will give the same in India. Do you think it will give it makes any sense?
Right, not really actually.
Yes. So what happens is whenever you have a machine, you do your own in-house validation and publish the data. When it comes to LifeCell, we've already published our data where we've analyzed not 100 or 200 or 1000 samples, but we've analyzed 36,000 samples. And this entire paper is published in the International Society for Cellular Therapy. It's a peer-reviewed journal 2 years back in 2016. Okay. If you could just help me with the copy. Here's a copy of it.
Okay.
So this paper clearly shows that whatever data I was talking about is validated and is published in a peer-reviewed journal. So a simple thing that you could ask is, if you're comparing CordLife or a cryobanks, what is the data that is from their own laboratory? I'm sure even if you ask them to publish their in-house data, they don't have any. So talking claims basis of what happens in the US makes no sense if you have not done your own validations. So I hope this solves your query regarding the papers on the internet.
Pretty much actually. I mean, my main doubts were around the processing technology that you guys use at LifeCell, right? Now that you seem to be presenting so many facts with so much confidence.
I would just like to summarize all the points that we discussed.
Right.
First is we use a personalized approach, which is not possible in a machine. It's a proprietary technology that we use. Second important point is that we remove maximum red blood cells. 5% is the leftover red blood cells in our sample compared to 30 or 40% when it comes to CPAX, and we discuss the benefits that you get. While we remove maximum red blood cells, we have an excellent balance in still recovering maximum stem cells out of a cord blood sample, almost, which is comparable to a CPAX, which is around 75-80% with them. Fourth important point is that because we have technical expertise involved, we have an edge by doing reprocessing of the sample. What this means is, if these TNCC recoveries are less than 65-70%, we can always reprocess the sample, which ensures highest stem cell recoveries. We use a chemical called HESPAN, which is very much important to use if you want higher stem cell recoveries, and it's an absolutely safe chemical which has been used for over 2 decades. Last two important points as we discussed is the transplant experience. Now, you chose a particular gynac over others is because of the experience that one carries, because experience gives you confidence that I'll be taken care of. When you choose LifeCell, because our samples have been accepted so many times, you have that confidence that whatever these guys are saying is actually the reality, because patients are getting treated in India and abroad using their samples. And the last and the most important aspect, which is a big differentiator, is no one knows certain uncertainties when it comes to a biological sample. And in case the sample is unfit or of low volume or not fit for processing or storage, private banks can only refund you the money. They cannot give you any protection. But under community banking, the baby and the entire family of 8 members get a coverage of enjoying the benefits of community banking.
All right. Okay, got it. So
I hope I've been able to.
You have actually. Thank you so much. So will you be able to take me through the enrollment process?
Certainly. Thank you so much for trusting us. And what mode of payment would you like to go ahead with?
Perhaps my credit card.
Credit card? Sure. So let me help you with the enrollment formalities.
Okay.
Hi friends. I hope you've learned a lot out of this video. And from now, you'll be more confident to face these queries on the field. Do let me know if you have any further questions. let's bring out a positive change on the field. All the best! We need to focus on 5 important points which gives Lifestyle the edge over other private banks. First, we offer a regulatory approved product. 2. We give them guaranteed sales whenever required. 3. We save time for the customers. 4th, we give them 1000 billion cells for every transplantation. And number 5, we offer them all these benefits absolutely free of cost. So let's take a look at this role play which will help you empower with more knowledge, confidence to face this query on the field.